Okay, this is our Take It, Make It craft. We're going to be making these awesome tissue paper flowers in a variety of colors and sizes and styles. It's all up to you. In your kit, you will find some fancy tissue paper in assorted colors, a dowel rod, a floral wire, some floral tape. This is a covered floral wire, different than the wrapping floral wire. You need to provide some scissors, glue stick in case you rip something, something to cut your wires with. You can use utility scissors too, and some hot glue. All right, to get started, you're going to take your tissue paper, and if you use dollar store tissue paper, it's a little different because their paper comes in a square, and in order to make the flower you need a rectangle. So in order to use dollar store paper, you have to cut off a portion before you start folding your paper so they have a rectangle, and they will make slightly smaller flowers. Okay, so what we need to do is to make some fancy edges. And for simplicity's sake, I'm going to take the whole bundle and I'm going to fold it in half and half, and then on both sides I'm going to cut some fancy edges. Just scallops are fine. There you go, you can adjust these later. And you want to go on this side. We're not looking for anything ultra precise. If you feel like you need to draw them on first, you are welcome to do so. Just simple. For a fringe, you would just cut just like so all along the edge. But you can do a fringe afterwards too if you like. So then you want to open it up, and you can thoughtfully consider how you want your flower arranged. The blue is going to be the back side of my flower, and the orange is going to be in the middle. Now I see I got a couple ragged edges. Again, you can fix these now or at the end. And ideally, you want the flower, the scalloped edge, to kind of not be cut off there, and to have a rounded part if you do this kind of scallop. But again, don't worry about it too much. Okay, so now we're going to make some guidelines because we're going to fan fold this whole thing. So take it and fold it in half. Now I will notice that my orange paper is slightly bigger. I don't know why that is, but I'm just going to trim that off so they're all the same. So if a certain color you get is not the same size, go ahead and make that adjustment. Then I'm going to fold it in half again. This is to create guidelines so that when I fan fold it, I don't get it too crooked. Alright, let's open that whole thing up. Yes, yes, honey. Look at this, I can't, there we go. Alright. Sort of like the lasagna here. Even them up as good as you can. And so now I'm going to fold so you can see my ghosty guideline here. I'm going to take this raw edge and fold it to the guideline. And then what I like to do is I'm going to pull this line to this line, the whole bundle. You can do that, or you can flip the whole thing over and fold it. If that's easier, go ahead and do that, back and forth. You just have to make sure that you don't lose control of the paper and then it, you know, gets crooked on you. So we're going to continue all the way across, like so. Keep using your little guidelines so that you don't, even if they're not the same thickness each time, just keep using them because it's going to keep it as even as you can to the end. I used 6 sheets, and again, if you want to use more than 6 sheets, it does get pretty cumbersome if you're not accustomed with working with thick wads of paper, and you might get discouraged. So, but you can add a lot more colors. Almost there. Okay. So I'm folding it and smoothing it each time as well. That helps keep it even. Now when you get to the end, you want to, even if you're not, it doesn't look like there's enough, I don't want to just fold it like this and have the orange on the one side and the blue on the other side. They need to be the same. So I'll just sort of cheat, make a half fold in there. So you can see it's blue, blue. That's my bottom color. All right, now take the whole thing and we're going to fold it in half to find the center so we know where to put our wire. It's kind of bulky, so you might have to futz around with which way to do it. And again, not ultra precise, but you do want it pretty close to the middle, otherwise your flower will not be balanced. And then just squeeze it pretty hard so you have your spot. Okay, so now this is the middle. Looks like so. I'm going to take a piece of the floral wire. You probably will have to cut yours in half so you can make multiple flowers. The blue, I have face up so that where I twist the wire, I'll have the tails of the wire accessible because it's going to be the bottom of the flower to attach to my dowel rod. I will interrupt though if you're not using the dowel rod and you would like to use the floral wire straight up, such as on this one. This is where you would attach the floral wire, and for that you would just follow the same procedure, but you're only going to use a smaller portion at the top. And you'll follow the same method as this. Now this is where I kind of mash it down because you want to get the wire pretty tight. And for those of you that have ever decorated a parade float, you probably made a million of these. They made them out of Kleenex, for goodness sakes. Think about that. So I'm pinching it and I'm twisting with my fingers really tight. Pull your tail straight. Because you want it pretty snug. You don't want it to come undone. You could use pliers if you wanted, and then I'm going to pull that straight. Okay, now's the fun part. Now's where you're going to start opening up your flower. And this is the part where you need to be firm, but gentle and slow, because if you go too fast, you will rip your tissue and it won't be too fun. See how I'm flattening it out? Because I want to kind of release the pleats that are here. like so, because this is where they get stuck. And for the first 2 layers, at least, because that's the center, you want them to be all the way pulled up so that you can't see the wire and you can't see down to the center. So what I like to do is I work from one side and I put my fingers in and I start to pull it, but I'm pinching the back side, but carefully, close to the center, pulling it. Kind of separate the pleat from the back, separate this like this, and then pull it towards the middle where the wire is. I will say that in my experience, certain colored papers are more prone to ripping than others. I couldn't tell you what that is, if that's the dye or whatever. Okay, so there's one side, and then the other side. You want to get down in these little folds here. So you're working from both sides, gently and firmly. Because again, we want to cover that up so that you cannot see it. So the closer you can pull this tissue out of the fold, the better. Now you can see I'm working in standing, which I think you get a little slightly better leverage. And there we go. There's our middle, one of our middle layers. So now what you're going to do is go back and forth and continually undo these until you have a flower. I'm going to pause it. Okay, so I've been working on these. I'm on my last layer, and you can see the flower's taking shape. Now you want to make sure on this last one, and when you're switching to the next layer, because they get a little bit further away from the center each time, just keep pulling them apart. And I will say you will know that you folded your paper on the wrong side, because when you get to this part, the tissue paper won't overlap and your flower won't be able to be finished. So be thoughtful about that. Okay. So now I got my little wire here. Woo, check it out. We are ready for a party. Now again, if you want to make sure these little edges overlap, or you don't like the way this looks and you want to, because I have kind of a sharp corner there, I might just come in there and trim that off to make it look more flowery. So you can go in there, and again, if you ripped anything, a little glue will fix that right up. Okay, so to do your dowel rod, this is where you need your hot glue. And you're just gonna, watch me just yank that out. There we go. Put some hot glue right there. And this is where you have to let it set. And then you're gonna take your one wire, wrap it around. You don't have to trim this wire if you don't want to, because you're covering it with floral tape. And take the other one, go the other way. Do not try to wrap the floral tape until the hot glue has set. So give me a moment here. We'll let that just set up. And now your floral tape, if you haven't worked with it before, one side of it is got a waxy coating and the other side sort of does or doesn't. So you want to use the warmth of your fingers and run the tape through your fingers to activate the wax so that it's sticky. There should be enough floral tape in your kit to at least do 2 long stems. So let's see if my glue is quite ready. If not, I'll show you really fast on this with the flower. So rather than this gets used, let's pretend this is the tissue paper around here like so, and you're going to twist this just like you did the other piece and then wrap the ends around, and then this becomes your stem. The versatility is then this, for example, you could attach to something. You can bend it, stick it in one of these bags, as a gift bag, and it's a more attractive look than just shoving the tissue paper in there like we like to do. Yeah, but then you can take it away and have it as a party thing, or hang them with those flexible wires. All right, let's see if my glue is ready. I think it's ready. So you want to get all the way up to the stem with the floral tape. The wax is what's going to make it stick. You want to wrap it up as close as you can to the top. So I usually go about 2 or 3 times around the top, and you want to press it on there so the wax sticks. Once you get it in position, you want to put your tape on an angle. So let me get it a little further down, because then I'm going to spin this with my one hand. And it makes it a lot easier to get it to stick. See how the tape is on an angle? And I'm pulling it pretty snug so that it sticks. And then all the way down to the end. As long as the wax is sticky and you're holding it snug, it shouldn't unravel on you. And then you just come back up the bottom and then you reverse roll up the bottom. And now you have an appropriate, this will fit in a vase if you like, and you can make a bunch of these. One last thing, if you want to make smaller ones, take your paper, cut it in half, and you can make smaller ones. Change the shape of your edges, make a more water lily type. Have different edges, fringe in the middle, scallop, more fringes on the end, and have some fun making paper flowers.